What's going on, everybody? Mr. Boom here with a little video updating you on the Bronco. I just finished hooking up the Dial Dynamics SS3 and SS1 pods to the fog light combo lights to the upfitter switches. You can see they're mounted down there. We'll come over to the Bronco. Keys right there. We will turn it over. Gonna turn the lights completely off. Roll down the window. Just that way you can see. These lights are off. So we'll hit upfitter switch 1. You can see those pod lights are lit up nice and bright. Upfitter switch 2. You can see that nice blue backlight glow. We'll come around to the front. Super bright. Dim it down a little bit. There you go. And then, because obviously, excuse me for that, because obviously we need to look like a rocket ship, we do have the rock lights. And then with the halos on, and that is just the halos up front. You can see when I turn them off down there. We'll come around. Again, all Dial Dynamics goodies, nice and bright. And then the headlights on. Headlights are on. Fog lights are on. Fog's off. Headlights off. Off. But, sorry about that. The real reason for this video is, as you can see, we've got that poverty base model cloth interior. We come up front. All kinds of Fiberworks goodies that I got to bring inside. More Dial Dynamics goodies. And some APP brakes for another build. We've got a box right here. And if you are familiar with Roadwire, you know that this is their box. We're going to install some leather. So stay tuned. I'm going to show you guys how to remove the seats, how to swap the leather, and kind of do it yourself. Take away some business from me. The first thing that you're going to want to do is pull the seats out. You've got a couple covers right here. You'll pop those off. You'll have, sorry that it's dark. Let me see if I can get you some light. My phone's about to die. Yeah, battery's too low. There's a bolt right here, and there's a bolt right there. So you'll unbolt those. I'll put what size in the video description below. So I'll put the tools needed below and show you guys a step-by-step process on removing the factory skins and replacing with leather. So stay tuned for that. Guys, so in the back, you're gonna have a T40, well, you're gonna have two T40 bolts right here. You're gonna come around to the back side, and you're gonna pop these pieces off right here. You're gonna have a couple bolts. Let's see if I can get that off. There we go. You'll have, I believe that's a 15 or 17 millimeter. I will put that again in the notes below, and then the rear seats themselves will come out. So as you can see, I've got the front passenger seat out, and they were 13 millimeter bolts. Just to keep everything organized, put them in a cup holder. As you can see, there are the bolts there. So gonna get these popped out and go from there. So as you can see, the two bolts right there. Pop that bottom piece off, and then there are going to be two more bolts right here up front to get the back portion of the seat off, and then this will remove the seat back, and then you're going to repeat the same thing on the other side. You'll have the two there, the two in the back, and then that bolt there. There will be one right there, and then that one right there, and on the other side. And then the last thing that you'll do once you get, as you can see, the bolts unbolted, is you're going to disconnect the plug right here, which is what causes the seatbelt to chime when it's plugged in. So you'll do that on both sides, and you can see right there, these are 18 millimeter bolts as well. Now we will do the passenger side. Got all of the seats out. I'm gonna get that crap out of the way. They're pretty straightforward. I mean, you can see right here, just gonna have to pop the headrest out. The easiest way to do that is gonna be, I mean, all of these, you're just going to unzip all the way. There's gonna be some Velcro down here, and then there's a couple buttons and whatnot there that you'll do, and it'll just slide off. The headrest is obviously gonna have to come out completely, so we'll get that popped out, and that'll be simple enough for that. What's going on, everybody? I am back here next day. It's the morning time. You guys saw me getting the seats out yesterday of the Bronco. Sick floating bed. And now what I'm going to do is kind of go over the rear seat disassembly, or not so much disassembly, but taking the seats apart to get the skins off and whatnot. So I've got the passenger side base rear seat right now. As you can see, passenger rear, you know, it's the passenger side, seatbelts on that side. All the Fiberworks goodies for that Super Duty that you saw behind me, as well as the Bronco that is going to be following up after that. Anyway, so the first thing you're gonna do to be able to pull the actual cover off is you've got two 10mm bolts right here. So I'm gonna get those popped off real quick. You can see that bolt's out, and that just slides off. Then from there, you've got, this is attached right here. So going to, obviously it's a little harder with one hand, so I'm going to set the tripod up real quick. So tripod is set up, and you can see, you're just gonna kind of pull it up like that, and you'll see when the new skins go on, well, actually this one's stuck in there real well, so like that, that just clamps onto that, but it's nice and tight. And there's some Velcro right here, Velcro right here. That'll give access to the two sets of zippers. There's one on each side. And you're just going to unzip it from both sides. And then there's a Velcro right there. And then that gives access to the front. Velcro right there. And fold all of this over. Give access to, which is kind of frustrating, but Ford made it a little more difficult to get the factory skins off than on the F-150s. So they used hog rings on it. So get you a pair of cutters, dikes, whatever you want to call them. Want to make sure that I don't get in trouble on Facebook for using a derogatory term. I'm just going to go through and cut all of these off to be able to pull the actual skins off. So you'll see that allows it to come, and there are quite a few of them. So I'm not going to show you the entire process. I'm just going to go ahead and get them all cut off, and then I'll show you the next step. Alright, so I have them all cut off and the factory skin off. You can see there's a bunch of them all the way around, and then there's a few right in there. So what I'm going to do now, go through, just pull them all out. That way whenever the skin goes back on, you're not going to have to worry about any of these being in there, poking out through the leather, anything like that. Just get those pulled out real quick. And so because this is the passenger seat, on the road wire kits, they are labeled L and R. Left is always going to be your driver's side, right is going to be your passenger side, and they do include a picture, which I'll show you here in just a second, of essentially the labeled diagram. So we've got this completely ready to put on there. And as I mentioned, there's a label, right, left, and then on the actual skins themselves. And again, this is road wire. I can't speak for the other brands, but you can see 2RC, which means that's going to be the rear right there. Now, we'll come back over here. I'm going to unzip these real quick just to give access and show you guys. So I've unzipped it. I've kind of folded everything over for you to see. On the F-150 kits and the Super Duty kits, these typically have a place to snap into on the factory seats. Because the Bronco uses the hog rings, it doesn't have that. So what you have to do is, there's a couple options. You can put the skins on without using the hog rings, or you can go to your supply company, Home Depot, anywhere like that, and get hog rings to reuse them. And then there's a couple options. They make hog ring pliers, or what I'm doing is just a regular heavy duty set of wide pliers right here. And what you'll see is, give me just a sec. With these pliers, it'll allow you to clamp back down. Now, if you don't want to spend the money on, you know, $12 for a set of hog rings, because there are quite a few, as you guys saw, there were roughly, I want to say there were approximately 15 to 20 in just the seat alone. So if you go through and do each individual seat back, so there's the back, the base, back base, back base, back base, back base, you're going to be doing a lot of that. The nice thing about the road wire kit is it's not entirely necessary. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and install this cover. I've already got the hog rings and whatnot on that one. It's fully installed. You can see how nice and tight that finish is. Same with right here. Again, this is with the hog rings on. I'm going to go back through with a heat gun and kind of go over everything to make sure that it's nice and tight. On this one, I'm not going to do the hog rings. I'm just going to put it on there, show you guys what it looks like, and then take it back off and do it the professional way and put the hog rings through these little clips right here. So give me just a second to get this mounted, and I will show you what it looks like with that installed. So as you can see, if you watch that little hyperlapse, time lapse, you can see that I didn't use the hog rings. It is nice and tight on here. The bolts are accessible right there. And then the same thing as the factory seat, you've got the little clip right here, and it does extend a little bit, so if you need to tuck it in and whatnot, you have the ability to. So we'll put this one that I didn't do the hog rings on, the passenger side, next to the one that I didn't, to give you guys an idea. So as you can see, if you're doing it yourself, there's really no need to use them because it does have it nice and snug on there, even without using them. So for the sake of it, like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and pop this back off, put the rings on there because I have a shop and I wanna make sure that everything looks and is done professionally. So we'll get that taken care of and start on the actual seat back, which is a little more difficult. As you can see, I've got that seat back to the rear seat now. And the first thing you're gonna do, kind of the same thing on the other one. So you've got a couple Velcro pieces right here, Velcro right here, and then you've also got the zipper tucked in there. So you'll just set this down real quick. So get that Velcro up there. Same thing as on the seat base. You're just gonna unzip this, do the same thing on the opposite side. So we'll get that unzipped real quick. And then just like on the seat base, you'll see there's the little clip right here that pulls that on. So you'll just, obviously it's easier with both hands, and I'm not using the tripod, but you can see it's doable with one hand. You'll have the Velcro piece right here, and that frees it up on the sides. And then you'll want to get the restraint off. So all you'll have to do is get a little screwdriver, flathead, something like that, and you'll see it will free it up there. The same thing on this side, frees it up, that pops right off. That allows you to lift it up through there. And then from there you'll flip this over. You can see just goes through right there, and then what you'll do is you'll cut these right here on that side, and then there's one on this side as well. Or you can just do that, pull it up, and it frees it from the base. And then you'll see, just like on the seat base, this has a bunch of hog rings as well. So I'm going to go through and cut those, and then I'm going to show you how to get the headrest pieced off after. Okay, so as you can see, same thing, all these little hog rings. Get those out of the way. I'll do that in just a second. What I'm going to do to make it easier to get the headrest itself off is I'm just going to cut this right here off real quick. You can see it's just cut right there. Slide that's off. Slides right out of the way. And then just like pretty much everything else, the headrest has the little handle right there. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that little piece right here and that one right there to get some access to the next step. So I cut it free, now I can get that off. So the next thing that you're gonna do, you can see there's little clips right here, little retainer clips that are holding that on. So what I'm gonna do is just get a flathead screwdriver and just kind of pry those out real quick. So hopefully you can see what I'm talking about right there. So all I'm gonna do, I'm gonna give it, it's hard to do with the camera, a little piece right there. Just get the flathead in there. You can see, pries out. I'll just grab those pliers so I don't send it flying. Pull that one out. And then do the same thing. Just get the flathead in there. Give it a little bit of a tug right there. Same thing. Pull that one out. And now the headrest pops off. So we've got access to the full seat. So now you get the cover, put that over it. Same thing. I'm going to get the hog rings out of it to, you know, make sure that there's nothing in there that will poke the back of the leather or the passengers in the rear. And then because you've already seen the process for one, there's not really any need to show you how to put them back on. I've shown you how to do the hog rings, how you're going to put those through. You can see the little pieces right there. There's a crossbar in there that you'll use to put the hog rings through, and then obviously you can use hog ring pliers or needle nose pliers, whatever's easier for you to get that off. And obviously you saw how easy it was just to pop the actual foam itself off. Going through, get all the hog rings out, and then I'll start putting the seat back for the passenger rear on. So one thing I will say and kind of mention is there's a little piece right here that will tuck up into the seat foam right there. And you'll notice on the rear, there's nowhere for the this piece to go in. So you're gonna have to put a small slice in there, and I'll show you guys that as well. You can see where that goes over the where the headrest is, and you'll also notice on these there is a small little cut in the leather on both of them. And what that's going to be for is for the pull handle up here at the top to go through. So you're just going to push that through. That way obviously the seat can be lowered forward and put back up. So going to get that put on, and then we'll essentially get the other two seats knocked out and get them installed. Okay, so got the front on, hog tied on. You can see so long through there, and then what you'll do is you'll grab there are little essentially flaps that you'll pull around, Velcro there, and you'll see that there's Velcro here and here, so that when you fold it back down, it will latch onto that. So the next step is obviously you're gonna zip that up, tuck your excess into the rear, and then you get to struggle with pulling this to make sure that it's nice and tight. So super simple. And then as you saw, so you can see right here when I push down on it, you can see the little bar. So you're literally just going to make a couple cuts here, cut here, push down, and then that'll allow you to be able to push your tether cover back on there. So I'm going to get this all secured, and then I'll show you how I cut it once it's tight and in place. So you can see I've got some of it cut out. I cut a little extra out, and then all you have to do, push that in, push that in, push that down, and you might have to get like a flathead screwdriver or something to kind of push those into place, but that way it locks them into place. So I'll just get that flathead screwdriver that I had just a minute ago and get that taken care of. And there you have it. It is in there. It's not coming out, and that's good to go. And then the final step for the seat back is going to be to get your headrest cover on. And there are two different sizes, the rear and the front. What I like to do is I'm going to fold this inside out and just flip it over.